Costa area. BART trains are all stopped. There is damage to the tracks near the Del Norte and Richmond stations. So needless to say, these BART stations are closed.
As we said earlier, the 911 system is down in some areas, so please stay off the phones. And we've gotten word now of a total of 200 injured. Again, 200 people hurt in this entire Bay Area from today's earthquake.
The Contra Costa Disaster Team and FEMA is asking for all rescue people to report to duty. You are needed in this area and probably all over the East Bay. And here we are again having another aftershock.
Our Channel 4 reporter has finally arrived at the USGS in Menlo Park, where the seismologist will update us on today's earthquake.
Hello, Mara and Laura. Dr. Brianna Jimenez will be talking with us in just a few more minutes. But what we have learned so far, that this is a magnitude 7.3 earthquake. It was centered in the Western Contra Costa area. They are still trying to get an exact epicenter on this. They have been in contact with the National Earthquake Information Center in Colorado, and both agencies agree on this 7.3 number. They also talked about the aftershocks. They said expect lots of them. Just a few moments ago, you guys felt one. However, here we did not feel it. So it seems that this area has not been hit nearly as bad as some of the other areas closer to San Pablo. In fact, the power is on here in Menlo Park. Meanwhile, much of the power is out in the northern East Bay. The last major earthquake to hit this area was in 1989, and that one was a 7.1, the famous Luna Prieta quake. That one did a tremendous amount of damage throughout the Bay Area. I want to show you what the seismograph measured. This is the beginning of the earthquake. And here's the end of the main shock. And then all the aftershocks started. Keep in mind that this could be a foreshock. However, there's only a 5% chance. Again, you can brace yourself for more aftershocks, which are sure to come. Now, Dr. Brianna Jimenez will be talking with us in a moment. She will give us a last information on the afternoon earthquake. Now let's look at what Dr. Brianna is writing. Now keep in mind that this earthquake happened on the San Andreas Fault. Is that correct? No. No, I was wrong. Dr. Brianna, are you ready to give us an update?
Not yet, in a few minutes.
Okay, we got a few minutes. Well, again, the quake is a 7.3. It was centered in the northern East Bay. We're not sure what fault line this quake happened on, but all of this information is forthcoming. Dr. Brianna Jimenez will be joining us in a moment.
Okay, I'd like to give you a summary of the activity this afternoon. The preliminary magnitude is 7.4 for an earthquake at 3:33 this afternoon in the Point Pinole area. It was widely felt all over the Bay Area, including Northern California and as far away as Carson City and Las Vegas. We believe it was on the northern end of the Hayward Fault under Western Contra Costa County. There were a lot of aftershocks. We've been recording about 50 of them every half hour. We know that there's been at least one in the 5 range, and we've had several more that I personally felt, so these were probably in the 4 range. We expect these aftershocks to go on for at least a month or so, maybe even longer for this size earthquake. But they will occur at a decreasing rate, so people in the East Bay will be feeling a little shaking here and there. It's best for people to be aware of damaged buildings because aftershocks could damage them even further.
Dr. Brianna Jimenez, how big could the next aftershock be?
Well, according to our models, we could expect them to be a little less than 1 point less than the main shock. So an aftershock in the 5s, and that could cause further damage.
This quake seemed to last quite a long time. Could you specify just how long it lasted?
Okay. Actually, it probably took the fault 10 or 15 seconds to break. But since the waves bounce around and reflect off other materials within the crest, you probably felt it longer than that.
Is it your belief that this quake happened on a different fault than the one that ruptured in 1989 in Loma Prieta?
At this point, yes. The 89 earthquake occurred some 90 miles southwest of today's epicenter. Today's earthquakes and aftershocks line up along the Hayward Fault. This fault is a strike-slip fault.
What's a strike-slip fault?
Well, that's the geometry of the fault. Most faults in California go straight down into the crest, but each side moves horizontally past each other like this.
Dr. Jimenez, will the aftershocks be centered just within the San Pablo area?
The epicenter of the main shock where the rupture started, and the rupture spreads out. It's like when you're unzipping a zipper. You start at one end and then move along. So the aftershocks will be generally located around the entire area where the main shock was.
Can you say which community the fault runs through? Do you know what the path of the fault is?
Yes, the Hayward Fault starts just south of San Jose and goes for about 90 kilometers northwestward till it ends at Point Pinole. It goes through all of the East Bay Hills and cities like Hayward, El Cerrito, Berkeley, and Richmond.
Dr. Brianna, there continues to be all this earthquake activity at Mammoth Lake. Is this connected to today's quake?
Only in the big picture, because earthquakes are always related or connected to each other. The Mammoth Lake events did not cause today's earthquake, so there's no relation between the two activities.
This quake is probably not a foreshock, correct?
The chances that this quake is a foreshock would be less than 5% or about 1 out of 20. If we use the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake, for example, that had a textbook aftershock sequence. That means first there's the main shock and many, many aftershocks which die off through time.
The fault is the East Bay are probably not capable of an 8.0 quake, are they?
That's true. We hope that's the case.
Can we expect more of the significant aftershocks contained within a certain time period, or can they be within the next few hours or days?
Well, the way that aftershocks occur is that they must come in right after the main shock. And then they decay through time. In other words, they die off through time.
Dr. Jimenez, you upgraded the magnitude 7.0 to a 7.4.